Vanquishers. Grab your arsenal to balance the Interverse, where heroes from great orders strike with no hesitation for control of what remains. Entry into the Dimensional Rift comes with a heavy cost, as the once-known Draconian world has been ravaged, and you must traverse it to find balance. Be the hero you were meant to be by selecting what type of fighter and energy class best suits you. Take up weapons that cannot just attack, but can be modified to decimate your opponent. Use abilities, equip armor, and vitality to defend your hero until you are ready to V-trigger and unleash your full power. The large range of heroes, items, and abilities will allow you to customize your deck, play, and battle for supremacy. So, jump into the Interverse now by selecting your hero, equip weapons and armor, and vanquish your enemies. Kickstarter is only the beginning.
Welcome back, everyone, to episode 659, right?
60.
60? Oh, wow. Okay, we're on to our...
No, 59.
Oh, my God. Well, we're on to the podcast, whatever episode it is, 59 or 60. And this will actually be the final episode of our third season of the podcast.
Yeah.
And we have a massive guest coming with us today. And it's actor, stuntman, filmmaker, and internationally renowned skateboarder, William Spencer, a.k.a. Skate Ninja. William, how you doing today?
Dude, I'm really good, you guys. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, man.
I mean, This is an honor for us.
This is amazing. Yeah.
We've grown up watching Spider-Man, and you are Spider-Man. Like, there's no way around it. You are Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's strange how that sort of doesn't always sink in when you're doing it, you know? It doesn't always...
Yeah.
To me, I'm always like, you know, because so many things that we do in life are pieces and parts of things that are the best of, and on a day-to-day, you're like, I stubbed my toe, I have diarrhea, but in the bigger picture, it becomes something, and it's really cool to sort of, as a human, know that you can build up into something, you know? It's cool.
Yeah, no, and you got started with skateboarding and changing the way skateboarding was done, and my cousin showed me, when I was younger, he was like, dude, you gotta watch this guy skateboard, and I just told him how I'm doing an episode with you, and he wanted me to say hi for him. So if you could shout Michael, that'd be a huge thing for him.
Awesome. Hey, Michael, dude, thank you so much for the props. It's totally appreciated, man. Really.
So getting into your career working in film, how did that start out, going from skateboarding and all that into more of the film side of things?
You know what, you guys, I just sort of, when I was younger, my older brother was skateboarding, and he didn't really want to skateboard by himself, and we sort of lived in the middle of nowhere by Tyler, Texas, and so he was really kind of naturally good at it, and I was just kind of there, and so he kind of like wrangled me and my middle brother. It was actually my oldest brother is Shad, my middle brother Bennett, and then me, and he just kind of wrangled us into it because we didn't live by a lot of other people, and so he sort of was like, well, this is fun, but I don't want to do it by myself, and we were kind of like, well, you're our older brother, you probably know better than us. Yeah, sure. So I kind of like got pulled into that, even though I think naturally I was probably prone to do other things better than skateboarding and stuff, that when he kind of pulled me into that world, from a young age, like, it was so hard to me that it made me like it. You know, many things that are like untouchable to you, that you like them more than things that just come easy. You're like, yeah, I could do that if I want. And you just don't, the significance or like how special it is, you're just like, yeah, cool, I guess I could do that or not do it. That it took me so long to be at all good at skateboarding, or to be anywhere close to as good as he was, that it really kept me like kind of in that vein. And I went to college for a while, for like 3 years, and it just wasn't for me, that I kind of came back around to skateboarding. I quit for a while before high school and just kind of like let it go and tried some other stuff. And when I see my brother, I would skate with him and I would try to keep up, but very rusty. And then when I finally realized, like, I just really don't learn like other people. Like, I don't know if my brain's set up different or something, but I don't learn normally. I learn in sort of like a I'm going to create something, and so I'm going to make it up as I go and just kind of make this other thing, as opposed to following instructions like a lot of normal and very smart people do. But I think there are different kinds of intelligence. Anyway, kind of pushing forward into like what got me from skateboarding and filmmaking is that my brother was in Denver. He was already heavily sponsored by all the shops and brands there and stuff. And so he just, as he was already filming, I kind of went with him skating, and I was kind of filming things, but I was also kind of like, oh, I'm not great at regular skateboarding, but I really like being around him. Like, what else am I good at that I have to offer? And I just slowly started filming things that were like skateboarding, but like what I felt like was what I could do with it, more than like, hey, let me make sure that I'm filming clips that look like everybody else, so they kind of like don't think I suck, or maybe think I'm cool, or maybe don't think I'm the worst, right? That I just kind of went, well, I can jump pretty far, weirdly far, and I can kind of climb stuff. You know what? Like, these guys are done filming for the day. They're gonna leave this spot. Like, I'll just like sneak in here and give it 5 tries, and over a couple of years, yeah, I did though, and people would be like, and I don't blame them, because parkour, like when I started making those videos, that parkour didn't exist yet, which means when you go and jump off something or like tic tac off a wall, people are going, huh, but why? Right? They really are. They're like, seriously, what are you doing? And also why? Because it's so not normal. And I didn't even discover parkour existed until I had made some videos, and then people told me that I was doing it. And I was like, yeah, good. Oh, okay, good. Great. Like, right? That over a couple of years, made enough footage and worked hard enough that the company my brother was on was kind of like, hey, man, your brother's done pretty decent with getting us footage. And they were kind of like, do you want to take him on tour with us or something, and kind of like try him out to see how it goes? Well, when the video was coming out, my friend Jared Stutz was like, and he kind of knew it was an unpopular opinion, because people just saw me around with my brother hanging out. They weren't like, oh, he's here to skate, he's really good. They're like, yeah, that's Shad's brother, and sometimes he does crazy stuff off of stuff, and then we kind of film it maybe. But when they were like, all right, we're gonna put Jared Stutz is like, hey, and the guy who was in charge at the time, my very good friend forever, and everyone thinks he's my brother, is Mark Spencer. And he had filmed all the clips, and he's the main editor and kind of owned Advocate Skateboards at the time. And he had backers and people helping him. But he was like, what? And my friend Jared was like, no, man, I think you should really look. I think William might have enough footage for a part. Like, he really might. And Mark was kind of like, hey, I like him, he's nice, but I doubt it. And when he looked through, he's like, oh my gosh, in the shadows somewhere, this guy's been filming a video part. Crazy. And so when that happened, they were like, all right, well, let's take him let's focus in and get him a video part. So basically, let me fast forward through all that. And this is what happened, is that I never thought I was going to be sponsored for skateboarding, because I wasn't normal in any sense of it. I wasn't classically good at it. I was really scared of doing it, and it also deeply intimidated me. That when I got sponsored, my whole goal for skateboarding was over. Where I was like, wow, I just tricked all these people into thinking I could skateboard. I was like, wow, you guys, this is nuts. Like, that is my other thing, apparently, that I'm good at, is lying so well that it works, maybe. Like, yeah. Wow, okay. So when that was over, that was such a life goal to me, because of my brother, how much I respect him. I look up to him, how amazing he is, that I kind of went, hey man, I weirdly maybe did this for you, but like in a I'm really proud of it way. That I had taken martial arts as a kid. From when I was about 10 to 14, I had gotten like a child's black belt, which means you do have all the skills to have a black belt in karate, but you're going to have to retest when you're about 16, when you're like, to see if you actually have the real skills to do it. So I kind of went away from skateboarding to do that. And when I came back, I had a lot of like probably style and skill from doing karate, and maybe a different idea about what I liked. And so I would watch a lot of action movies, tons of Jackie Chan, just tons of movies like that. That was the only other thing that I was like, this is interesting. Like, that was really it. I was like, I like skateboarding and I like action. And when skateboarding kind of like went away in a goal sense, that I was like, oh shoot, I'm like not going to college. like skateboarding, like I've created something that's pretty weird that I don't think in the mainstream of skateboarding those guys are really gonna take it and run with it, right? I'm just gonna be a guy that they're like, man, he's nuts. Did you see that video part? That I went, what's a realistic thing for me to do? Maybe I'll just get into stunts first and see if I like it. And if I like stunts, maybe like at some point people will be like, hey man, you did really good. Maybe you could be Jackie Chan. Or hey, nobody else is around. You want to make a movie? You could be the guy. That I thought it was very much like when you're a kid and you just play make believe and you're like, hey, so I'm gonna be Rambo. You're the enemy soldiers this time, and then you're not like, hey, I'm going to be an actor, and I'm going to find a stuntman to double me. You're not. None of that exists. So when I was like, hey man, maybe I should get into movies, it was like that. Like I don't know, maybe I'll be in movies, and that's it. And so the stunts came first because it was the thing that I felt the most like normal with, and the most like, oh, I totally relate to that, sure. And as time has gone on, I've just started realizing, oh my gosh, I love movies in a way that's like not going to work to just be a stunt guy. You know, it's not, I can't really go to work, do some stunts and be like, yeah, whatever you guys want to do with that movie, that's fine. I just want to do my thing. I'm like, well, how's this movie going to come out? Is it going to be cool? Like, what are the shots are we doing? That it's sort of like taken over for me where I'm constantly making movies and finally sort of like my own self-awareness about going, dude, I really like this stuff. I should probably be more involved in just the whole process of doing it and making what I want to make, whether it's like on my own page, my own channel, my own whatever, or bigger films or film festivals or whatever I got to do, as long as I'm like telling the funny stories that I want to tell or entertaining myself. And that's sort of my sweet spot right now. And that's sort of where I've arrived now, believe it or not. And not in like a success sense, right? Because success is the slipperiest thing ever. I know a bunch of people that are more successful than me and like have like you won't even ever see them in anything. They've done like 100 movies, like, and they're my age, but they're just a random guy that you catch the edge of his arm falling, and he's like, yeah, I did the Expendables 1, 2, and 3. I did all of the DC movies. I did all the Marvel movies, but you'll never see that guy. He's just rich, and also, like, you kind of, the more successful you are in stunts, the more you just kind of disappear, you know? Yeah. So that's sort of where I am in my career now, that I'm like, I do enough stunts so that I have enough money and I'm not broke. But really all I'm doing is saving up to either make an epic video part skateboarding that's finally like me fully realize like what I want to do with skateboarding, or making films that, or awesome SNL skits or something, you know? So that's kind of current where I am now, you know? Yeah.
Dude, your story is incredible. And some of the projects that you've been able to work with are just as incredible. You've got to do Cobra Kai. You got to do Maze Runner, the Spider-Man movies, of course. You got to do Tenet, which to me is one of my favorite action movies and just one of my favorite.
Let's talk about it.
Yes.
Tell me about it. What do you think of it?
So we both have said how much we love Tenet, even though it wasn't, some people didn't love it. And right from the start, a cool story about it. I was in Wyoming when I saw it, and it was in the height of COVID, empty IMAX theater, just me and my dad. And I walked out and I was like, that was incredible. Like, that was an amazing film that I truly enjoyed, which you don't see very often because a lot of the movies now is a lot of CGI, green screen, and the way Nolan was willing to use practical effects. Sure. You guys did an amazing job with stunt and all that kind of stuff. So I thought Tenet was an amazing film. So so as soon as I saw it, I was like, this is incredible. He's done my favorite Spider-Man movie. One of my favorite movies is Spider-Man, both of them. And you've done Tenet and you've done Cobra Kai, which I'm obsessed with right now.
Yeah, that was pretty great. You know, it was a cool, you know, what's awesome is the same team, basically, George Cottle and his team, who now he's second unit directed on No Way Home, but he was a stunt coordinator on Scorch Trials, I think Maze Runner, Tenet, and then he like just in a row. So, and I think he also helped out quite a bit on a lot of the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. So he's been with him for a while. And so he just kind of has brought me on. He's super cool guy too. George is so awesome. And he's from the UK. He's like super no nonsense, but yeah, he just brought me onto to Tenet because they were like, hey man, we remember on Scorch Trials that they didn't want to have zombies on that movie. They wanted like something that was like that, but very fast and very like not docile at all. And so he would make me run after this camera car, me and a few other people. And he found out, he's like, wow, you can actually run relatively fast. And so I was flattered at that because I don't consider myself like, I'm not like, oh, I'm good at running. And I don't, if you're like in track, does anyone really say that? I don't know. But when I got to Tenet, I was like, hey man, like, it's so awesome you brought me on, but why? And they're like, so listen, we need you in all this gear, basically. You're going to be a soldier. You're going to have a gas mask on. You're going to have a huge rocket launcher and a gun. But we also need you to keep up with these actors. I need you to run right next to them with the camera car and just somehow, they're going to be at a dead sprint. You're going to have all this extra stuff, but I want you to just stay with them. And I was like, thank you for this job. Thanks, I guess. And it ended up working out pretty well. But being... And I only really got in the tail end of that movie, you know, that big fight sequence where, and I'm sure you guys know if you paid close attention, but in that fight sequence with the blue and the red army, you always feel like, wait, is anyone shooting at each other in this sequence? Because if you watch, there's so much backwards and there's so much forwards, but when you watch it again, you're like, wait, are they shooting at each other? There's the Russians, but are the Russians that are in white, are they really interacting much? And as I watched that sequence, I was like, wow, it's so crazy to see it fully put together, because we had so many times where we were just like getting out of this helicopter, right? Running out, just charging as hard as we can up this hill. And we have those gas masks on, and we're in the middle of we're like by, Palm Springs or something, where it's freezing cold when it's cold, and then it's just blazing hot in the middle of the day. And you're just kind of dying, and you would be like, oh, thank God that take is over. All right, I'm going to pull my mask off. And they'd be like, all right, now, red team, you were running forwards, right? Yeah, we were running forwards. Now you get to run backwards. But up the hill, you just, but you're like, wait, but I thought I was running You're like, yeah, now we're running backwards uphill. And you're like, can people do that? Or should they? But, dude, it was crazy because we were so confused by that. We're like, and I remember that's telling, the behind the scenes, we're like, yeah, so Nolan actually invented a mag for IMAX camera that you flip the mag upside down, so it's actually filming in reverse, right? And you're like, wow. Oh my gosh, that's crazy, what a cool invention. Well, if you start thinking about it too hard though, and this is clearly like in every man's opinion, I'm sure on the inside track there's a very clever way that they're going, but I was like, if we're running backwards and they're shooting backwards, isn't that just forwards though? And it really, we kept and that was kind of the joke on set, no, but should we just run forwards and then he can shoot it backwards and then it'll look fine? And you're like, well, no, because you have the other army that's running forwards while you're running backwards. You're like, exactly. So now are we both forwards and backwards? I mean, who's backwards? Just for days, we were like, what does it mean?
Yeah. No, and I haven't done it. I've not done stunt acting. I'm in the Army, so I know exactly what you mean. Running with the gas mask, all the gear, full sprint.
All the gear, yeah. Dude,
it is.
And it's crazy. So listen, so the stunt people is very important they're the only ones. They had tons of military experienced guys there that were playing all the background parts, right? All the other soldiers. And then they would be like, all right, stunts, now we give you the real guns and we need you to fire off rounds, right? So now you're doing stuff where you're like, you're pulling up a gun, right? You're turning one direction, then you're looking, then you're firing, because you're doing everything as though you're doing it the other direction. So you're running backwards, you're pulling your gun, then looking, where in real life, right, you look and then pull your gun. But just all this crazy stuff. Well, we got far enough into it that they were handing us out guns, and it's obviously, a real gun is so much heavier that by the end of the sequence, we had fired so many rounds and whatever else, and we just felt like, I don't know if anyone's actually paying attention, or they're going to put in the sound later, that we would have rubber guns we were supposed to switch out for real guns, and we were so tired that we would be like, no, man, this one's already loaded. It's crazy. Keep these. And they kept being like, that's weird. We have extra real guns. I don't know why. And it's just funny because at the beginning, for the stunt guys, there was a lot. And guns are they're tools. If you need them, you use them. If you don't need them, don't use them. But it was hilarious because by the end, we're like, no, this rubber one is sick. I'm good with that. I don't want to run anymore. Oh, that's pretty funny.
But that whole final battle is, to me, it's one of my favorite action scenes. And it's just a great scene in total.
Yeah.
And me, you've talked about this movie 100 times on the podcast. And I got to ask, because I'm trying to become a normal actor, but I don't know how. Not that sounds terrible. I'm trying to work in becoming an actor. How does auditions work for being a stunt actor?
You know what? It's a little bit in the same vein. I think the more, I'm gonna call it, the more achievable version of acting, right? Because when you have another skill, like, and my lady friend will laugh about this, but I always say Channing Tatum, like, is he that handsome? Maybe. But he's also, right, he's such a good dancer, and women look for that in men, right? They're the ones that are pretty, and we're the other ones that kind of just are making it work. Like, so we've got some skills, right? That they'll swap it out, and they'll be like, instead of being like, man, he's a great dancer, they'll just be like, yeah, he's really handsome. You're like, I mean, he's mostly good. So, and then we can kind of live with what he looks like, right? So with stunt acting, what's cool about it is if you have a better skill, people will take on if they go, all right, you're not the best actor in the world, or you don't have the greatest jawline, or you're not the best, like, diction for what you're saying. When you have skills behind it, they look more at that. And if you watch, it's a super inside track thing, but many close friends of mine are the main bad guys in most movies. And you always know when they show up, right? They go around the corner, see them looking all tough, pull their gun. Somebody's getting punched soon because they're there. And what's cool is it's actually one of those things. Oh, let's see here. There we go, computer. It's actually one of those things that's really cool for it's really cool for totally achievable, like a totally achievable version of going, hey, I can ride a motorcycle, hey, I can sword fight, hey, I can whatever. That when you have those skills, they much more want to be like, hey man, this guy didn't win an Oscar, but he can also do all this other stuff, and it becomes an add-on game. And then from there, the more well-known you are, the more people that you know, the cooler you are to people, that it becomes like, all right, cool, have this guy here. Because a lot of people, if you're not careful, if you just hire an actor, then you have to hire a stuntman anyway. Because the guy, you're like, hey man, he can say stuff like he means it, but that dude cannot throw a punch to save his poor and so it's really, you're, in a lot of ways, it's a more achievable career, like in a everyman sense, in a good way. And it also will afford you stuff where if you do meet cool people and people like you, then there is a way to kind of like head on up like, you can also act and you can also do this because people like you, and they like working with you because you're not a douche and you're not pretentious and you're just making things work. So
No, yeah.
Yeah, I think I mean, it's super important to just kind of be a nice guy, Just
you guys, that is,
yeah.
because especially, I mean, yes, life in general, obviously, but seriously, because people, a lot of the job ends up being, and stunt coordinators and everyone knows this, it's not who's the best at the job, it's who you want to hang out with for 12 hours and not punch.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
a lot of it comes down to, are you nice? Because there's a ton of people, like anything else, there's a ton of people that can do the job you're doing. So who is cool and can also do the thing,
Yeah.
So I would say for you, any sort of advice moving forward is, if military training always helps, like being able to meet the right people, get in, even in a background sense, so you can get your SAG card and just slowly work your way up into, like, if you're like, I'm that guy, like I'm on every military job, and at some point when you're on one of those jobs, like, hey, when they, the main officer walks in, he says something to somebody, and then you can try out for that. And like, yeah, I'll say something to it. And then you just build up that way. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's amazing.
You want to ask a question?
Yeah.
I'll let you ask a question.
So I was wondering, like, there's differences between being a stunt actor and a more traditional actor, obviously. But how do you kind of approach going into a stunt role versus a more traditional acting role? Or even to build off that, how do you go into going into a project that you may have written or are directing yourself?
So I think I've gotten this question right. Are you saying in a general sense, like on other people's projects, or on like ones that
like, how do you prepare for like a stunt role versus a more traditional acting role?
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's just a more basically you're focusing on more like what you're physically going to do as compared to like how emotionally invested you're going to get, but anyone who's like really good at something is, at least in my opinion, is well-rounded enough to be both, because a lot of times if it's more of a stunt role, it's just pure like, hey man, you're going to say a couple things and then you're going to brawl with 5 people in this bar. And so we're going to go through the choreography, right? We're going to talk about where you're going to break the pool stick over someone's back. And then we're going to talk about who you're kicking through the chair, or do you get kicked through the chair? Do you slam someone over the top of the bar? Is there a breakaway bottle that's going to hit you? And you basically will start pre-practicing that stuff and rehearsing. And a lot of times, you know, especially like for a big movies, like on those Spider-Man movies, we probably started 3 months ahead of time, you know, where we're supposed to literally all the stunt sequences in the movie, we're supposed to do every single one of them, you know? So, yeah, every single one of them. So we got to really get in there. Hey, give me 1 second. I'm going to grab my phone. I wrote some notes that I wanted to.
Okay, perfect.
All right, boys. I'm
Let's
back.
clarify.
Sorry for the delay.
Let's clarify. So I just auditioned for my first ever role, and I've never done this before.
Yeah.
All right. Hi.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
So me and Ryan were having this discussion before
tell me about it.
And so I just auditioned for my first leading role in a film, and I'm waiting back to hear. I made it through the first round of auditions. Now this is the final part. And Ryan keeps making the joke. He's like, "You should ask William to Mr." Do you like being called William? Will? I actually listened to an interview where you go by Will mostly.
Well,
correct?
Funny story is in high school, it's always just been William. And then in high school, people just took it on themselves like, "Hey, man, yeah, so we're just calling you Will. That's too long." And I was like, "Yeah, I can't argue with that. You're not wrong."
Yeah.
But I always thought it was interesting to it reminds me of people that, and I'm not saying it's a great name, but I always get fascinated when people will own a really nice muscle car and then also not drive it, you know? Where you're like, "Oh, that thing is sick." Like in your garage, looking perfect that you never, like you're never going to take it out. I thought it was weird to name someone William, and throughout time, people are named William all the time, and then nobody uses it. I'm like, that is the squeakiest clean name ever. That thing is brand new, never used. So I was like, you know what? Just this time, I guess we'll kind of go with it. So.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're okay with me? I'll call you William. We'll use the name, take it out of the garage.
Please.
So no, me and Ryan were talking. I just auditioned for this role, and it's an action movie. And I've done boxing. I've always self-trained boxing, and I'm in the military. And Ryan keeps making a joke. He's like, "Oh, you should ask William to be your stunt double." And I'm like, first off,
that is hilarious. Yes.
You're like 5 inches taller than me. You have long brown hair. I mean, what are you, 6'1", 6'2"?
No, dude, I'm actually, it's funny because I'm skinny. I look taller. I'm not. I don't think I'm even 6 foot, you guys.
I think you're still taller than me. I'm 5'9" on a good day with some heels, maybe.
Sure.
I'll Tom Cruise it.
Yeah, perfect.
But yeah, Ryan keeps making the joke. He's like, "Ask William to be your stunt double."
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be funny to bring that up too.
That is hilarious. Done.
Perfect. There it is.
Okay, can I ask a weird favor?
Please.
If I sent that to you, would you sign it?
Totally. I'll totally sign it. If you want, yeah, I'll totally sign it. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I won't make you say your address on our podcast because I don't want that getting out.
5'5". You're like, that's a
Let me just put this on my Instagram, get some views.
Yeah.
But getting back into the interview portion, how did the role of Spider-Man come up? Like, how did that come about?
So it's kind of, and it's funny every time I tell this story, I'm always trying to dig up extra details, like I'm like, what is going to make this story as short and interesting as possible? But I think I always have to start with the same thing, which is Ilram Choi, the guy in that photo, because Ilram, he's Korean. He first had a career in basically like computer animation, so like animation for movies. So he's just an incredible artist, and I think he actually did it in Dallas of all places. Kind of got successful at that career, made the money that he wanted to make, did what he wanted to do, and then he thought, "Man, I'm kind of bored. I should go do." And he must have been already like at least 35, like very like much later in the, but just so such an athlete, an amazing dancer, and just like such a smart person and artist that him transferring into stunt work out of another successful career, not a big deal for him, And so I must have met him. I don't think I was in my living in my car phase. I think I was out of that and living like with a couple stunt guys from the stunt show that I got into. I mean, on a couch, but don't worry, I didn't have a room. But I remember him I must have trained at a gym with him one time, maybe Jam or White Lotus way back. Maybe Geo. Maybe Geo is like a very, very like OG. If you want to train, stunt work at all, it's called Gymnastics Olympica, and it's like in the valley, and it's everyone's gone there, And I must have trained with him a couple times, and none of my training, I'm self-taught in a lot of ways. The one thing that I did do is karate, but all the other skills that I've got is really just kind of like either watching my brother do flips or just kind of learning on a trampoline, and so training with him a couple times, I guess he just kind of was like, I don't know. He just thought I was like good enough or something. And I must have gone hiking with him one time and just kind of like you do, just jumping off rocks or jumping little gaps, whatever. I don't know, like whatever is fun, but with your friends that kind of like also do that stuff, that I then was kind of like, yeah, cool. Like, you're awesome. And I don't know if it was my attitude or whatever stuck out to him, but when it was time to audition for Spider-Man, he was one of the couple of people like, and I think he worked with Andy Armstrong, who was the stunt coordinator. Actually, he was a stunt coordinator on The Amazing Spider-Man. And his older brother, Vic Armstrong, who is the original double for Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones, he was second. I believe he was second unit directing on that. But he had worked with Andy on Thor, the movie before. And so when Spider-Man came up, they kind of tapped him like, hey, man, you move really well. You could be Spider-Man, which I thought was really cool. Because another thing that always bums me out with casting, that people accidentally typecast like, hey, man, well, you're Asian, so you probably, you can't really double Peter Parker. He's white. And Andy Armstrong was like, I'm trying to make Spider-Man look cool. I mean, if they're shooting him from the back, right, then whatever. And so he gave it on the job, which I thought was really cool and forward thinking and like very like how it should be. That then they said, all right, well, we need to fill a second spot, because on big movies like that, they're usually shooting 2 units at a time, where they need Spider-Man in New York and they need Spider-Man at Sony and they need Spider-Man, they're trying to get this movie done and they're not going to wait. Well, Spider-Man's over on this set. What do we do? They like have at least 2 guys. And so what they ended up doing is just basically having holding an audition, and they I don't know if Ilram actually gave me a heads up or not, but they called me and said, hey man, are you going to come to the Spider-Man audition? We're going to have it such and such day. And I was like, yeah, sure. I'm in Colorado filming skateboard videos. Can you just call me and let me know when it is? So that I'll leave. Cause I was like, I'll leave right now. I'll get on a plane tonight. They're like, no, we don't. Whoa, you're jumping the gun. It's in a few weeks. I said, okay, but you'll call me when it's going to happen, right? We'll totally call you. Cut to, they called me all right. And they were like, hey, William, how are you? I was like, hey, I'm great. Oh man, I was worried you guys weren't going to call. I really want to do this audition. They said, great. Are you coming in today? And I said, why would I come in today? And they're like, whoa, the audition's today. And I said, remember when you said you're going to call me? They're like, oh yeah, we just emailed you. And I said, good. I have no email. I don't own a computer, man. I don't own Anyway, so it really blew it for me. And I know this story's taking longer than it probably needs to, but I was so bummed about that, missing it. And Vic Armstrong, he's super awesome and, highly successful, was kind of like, nah, man, you're fine. We'll catch you on the next one. And I was like, no, I don't think you catch people on the next one on Spider-Man, right? Like, you either do it or you don't get it, or you don't get anyway. So really bummed me out. And then as that sort of went along, I just kind of like super bummed for a while. Because here's the thing. They invited other people to the audition too. It's not like it was at all guaranteed to me. At any audition, it's anyone's game. Whoever feels good that day, whoever does a good job, whoever lands all their stuff, right? And I'm not a great live performer anyway. Like, the pressure of kind of like blowing it or being a superhero in person to me is a lot. Like, there's an anxiety surrounding, am I making Spider-Man look terrible, right? So I think maybe it was one of those things where I finally let it go. And then at some point, I remember a month or so later getting a call, and I was like, I don't think this is normal. Why are you guys calling me? And so they basically called me and were like, hey man, we want you to come down to Sony today. And I think they had a warehouse pretty close to Sony that they had set up for all the stunt stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna come down and meet who, why? And they kind of, I don't think they told me exactly what's going on, Well, I get down there, and I don't even know if it's Ilram that tells me the story, but I get down there and I meet Andrew Garfield. And I'm like, hey, and he's like, it's funny, they have a trailer for him inside this warehouse where I'm like, is this really happening, or what's going on here? Why is he in a trailer? Whatever. I meet him, super nice. And I guess before this, to me, I hadn't watched a lot of movies with him in it, maybe. So I was kind of like, oh, he seems nice. He's English. Cool. That later on, Ilram's like, yeah, you're not going to believe this story, William, but we're rehearsing. We picked somebody else. We picked David Elson to be the double instead of you. And he was much shorter because they were so serious about the stunts in The Amazing Spider-Man that they really wanted to get the stuntman going, do all these amazing real action sequences, and then worry about hiring the actor later and just kind of filling in the blanks, And he was a fair amount shorter than Andrew, but they were going to make it work, and they thought it could be cool with the scale of making the lizard look a lot taller for how tall Spider-Man was, where you're like, the scale is good for that. So, but I think Ilram was like, yeah, so listen to this story. So we're rehearsing along. We don't think anything about it. And at some point, Andrew comes up to us at lunchtime, and they're rehearsing and getting ready for the movie. And at lunchtime, they all sit around and they're on the computers on YouTube, just watching stuff. And Andrew's like, hey, you guys, hey, what do you think about this guy? So I've been thinking about, for Peter Parker, it's a kind of a cool character choice. And yeah, I did it as a kid, but it might be cool if he skateboards. I don't know how much, but he skateboards around, And he's kind of has his computer facing himself. He's like, and what do you guys think about this guy? I was looking for people that kind of skateboard like Spider-Man. I found this guy. Seems kind of awesome. What do you think? Turns it around, And of course, Ilram's over there, I don't know, eating his Chipotle bowl or something. And he's like, that guy? That guy. Is that William? And he's like, yeah, William's. And he's like, yeah, I tried to invite him to the audition and he blew it. And they were like, wow, really? He's like, yeah. And they're like, well, do you think he's free? He's like, yeah, he's probably around right now doing nothing. Call him. This made me laugh how certain things, pass you by for whatever reason, or you miss out on it. And then there's other certain things that come around. And it's really cool that certain things feel like a little bit more meant for you. You can blow it and it still kind of happens, whether it's hard work later or things lining up that you didn't put any stock in. So it was very cool. And the stunt team was awesome. James Armstrong, Andy's son, and Jen Caputo and her brother, Jay Caputo, and just this whole team of Mark Dirksey and freaking trying to think of everybody, but just an awesome, mellow, very intelligent stunt team that, through Andy Armstrong's instruction, when you watch The Amazing Spider-Man, a lot of those stunt sequences that are clearly real and obviously cleverly done, where you're like, oh, that's cool. Apparently we can do that. And they worked for months to work out how to do multiple swings in a row and how to, if you really watch, there's so much cleverness behind that that's so smooth that you can't really pick it out, but that gives you a feeling that it's there. And Andy and the freaking, the wire work team, they really researched it until it looked that cool, So
yeah, I mean, one of my favorite stunts, because I've watched the behind the scenes featurette 1,000 times for these movies, when he's swinging right over the bus under the bridge, and the fact that that's all real, him swinging, it's one of my favorite stunts. And I think that's why I love these movies so much, is because it's all it's really there. Unlike a lot of superhero movies nowadays, there's a lot of CGI.
And it keeps you weirdly connected, because I think what was really bold of them is for Andy Armstrong to say, whatever, dude, I don't know how to do it exactly, but we could make Spider-Man swing for real. And I think there's something really but he's also done many, many clever things in the past, so many clever stunts that for him, he was thinking, yeah, you give me enough time, I'll do it. And Andy Armstrong has enough clout with the studios that they'll let him do it. And they sure did, And even if you watch it where he is just swinging through traffic, right? Not even the big but after that, he's swinging through the cars. He set that up in a way on the back of this truck where that, and I got to rehearse that part too, where he swing, and then a couple steps on a moving truck and then swings again, right? I got to rehearse that with them. And like, I think I have test footage of it somewhere that I was looking for on my computer the other day. But you can do that swing and they have it set. And as long as your body motion of like webbing and grabbing looks good, you can absolutely do that as long as you want. And it will look real. You can absolutely, facing out the back of the truck, the way he hangs you and you swing and the people puppeting your arms, you could do that for 2 minutes if you felt like it. That's what's so cool about it.
Wow.
That's
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's when you're clever, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you have a question for?
Yeah, I think in the Amazing Spider-Man movies, the scene like that really set it apart for me from the other Spider-Man movies is the skateboarding scenes, because I think it's something that none of the other Spider-Men have. It's kind of a different thing that this Spider-Man does. So I think my question is, with that being a movie, I'm assuming that skateboarding scene was on a set. It's kind of like built for that skateboarding. But my question is, do you prefer to have like a set and then build your stunts off of that? Or do you prefer to find somewhere and imagine stunts in that specific place?
I love that you said prefer. If I could, what I prefer is someone giving me a huge chunk of money and saying, "Impress me, William, with something I haven't seen." That's what I would really like, and that's what I'm constantly looking for out here.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly chasing the dream on people actually giving me money for what I could make, because what ends up happening in real life with skateboarding, all the way down to movie sets, and it all depending on how much thought you put into it, it all surrounds each other. It all overlaps. It all kind of like at some point is in each other's realms, depending on the perspective, whether you want to find spots and do it, you either want to build spots and make stuff to that, or you want to just start from scratch and go, imagine a world where you can go ride on the ceiling, right? Like either way, those, believe it or not, there was a lot of we were, I think, on and around some docks in San Pedro, which is like, kind of south of Los Angeles, kind of in the bay down there, kind of by Long Beach, where they filmed. If you ever watched that, I love that movie, Gone in 60 Seconds. Did you ever watch that movie?
Yeah.
So it's kind of around those container areas and stuff. So they kind of built onto stuff for there. And there was a couple things they built that were sets, like the transition over the wall thing, and then the kickflip to fakie thing. And then there was one other one that Alex Olson did. I think he did 2 or 3 tricks in there. I think he did a 3 flip, a kick flip, and then maybe ollie on transition or something. And then everything else is me, any of the other sequences. Yeah. But what's funny about that sequence, you guys, is like, I feel like and this is obviously said with like whatever version of reality should be in it, but I feel like I'm known for creative skateboarding, right? When people go, hey, what do you bring to the table? That in a lot of ways, and that's why that sequence didn't work the first time. The first time, they took me to a schoolyard, and they're like, hey, do a bunch of crazy cool stuff here and impress us in this area. and it was Vic Armstrong that told me, like, yeah, do it in this area. And I was like, oh, I'm trying to keep this job. Okay. When I knew in my heart, like, what do you want me to do here, dude? Like, there's nothing. Little picnic tables, and like you have like 85 extras around just waiting for me to land something. This is like worst case scenario for me, like the pressure on top of pressure on top of pressure. And so that sequence, like, we filmed it one time, and towards the end of the movie, Andrew and the director were like, yeah, that's not going to work. He's like, that's not really impressive enough. It's not Spider-Man enough. And I literally then finally, they're like, all right, William, what do you want to do? And I was like, oh, I'll tell you what I want to do. Like, and they only gave me a day. What's crazy, they gave me like an afternoon basically to do it in. And so that whole sequence is shot, like even the ollie down off the hideous drop thing that we had to, do. This is all of it, all the rest of the, like, all that stuff that I was like just playing around with. They fully were like, yep, so you got the rest of this afternoon. And I was like, oh, okay. And so like, yeah, here's an extra cameraman, go ahead. It's just crazy because there's so much time and money spent on certain things. Then on that sequence, that's just what we got. They're like, yep, go. Wow. So that's awesome. If I could make that sequence now, you guys, like if I could remake it, in fact, I'll tell you a cheeky little secret. I'm making an all new video part as Spider-Man with movie magic in it. So does his feet stick to the skateboard sometimes because he feels like it, but then it doesn't stick at the beginning of the sequence, and you don't know how he lands on it, and then it's going to stick or not. He's going to do a flip. He's going to flip off the board onto the board. I'm making a whole, like, however long 3.5 minute video part of that, which I bet you I'm a couple minutes in already. So it'll be cool. I'm actually making it with the Happy Medium guys who do all the big skateboard videos out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Ooh,
that's
Anyway.
awesome.
But yeah, guys, if I could redo it, oh man. But I'm still proud that anybody wanted to put that in a movie. Like, I really am, that people were like, hey, this footage that we got, even though you felt rushed and it's not what you wanted to do, and like making the most of it, whatever, it's still good for what it is, and it's like kind of nostalgic, and that makes me feel good that like people appreciate it, because we all get like self-deprecating because we all feel like, especially when your perspective is so kind of clouded by expectation and hope, that whatever you make just isn't good enough. And so it's cool sometimes to step back and be like, I would shut my mouth because I think people might like what you did. And you're like, yes, right. You know.
And now I think this is a question that I've been wondering since No Way Home was released. Were you shocked when that all came about, of coming back to the role after so many years?
I was really, I thought it was kind of funny, you know, where I thought it was gonna be like a Spider-Man retirement movie where I was like, yeah, we were all in wheelchairs talking about it, you know. I don't know. I mean, I, you know, Andrew and I talked about it for a long time, and he was just kind of like, yeah, dude, I feel too old to play Spider-Man anymore. And for him, it makes sense. You know, he's played a lot of older characters, and he's like, I think he's about the maturity of things, of like going to the next step and the next phase of stuff. Where me, I feel like skateboarding is kind of like endless summer feeling. It's sort of like the fountain of youth in a certain way, because why dress like someone's dad if you don't have to, you know?
Yeah.
And so it was fun to discuss that. You know who he was really connected to, actually? I don't know if you got in. Did you guys watch Into the Spider-Verse?
Oh yeah.
Love it, by the way. I love that movie.
It's amazing.
But he was so connected to the jogging pants Spider-Man. He was like, that guy's hilarious. He's the best part of that. I'm like, and so he kept trying to be like, yeah, so when I, you know, jump up to the ceiling to show everyone that I'm Spider-Man, my back hurts. I'm going to grab my back. And he kept rehearsing it. And at some point, the director was just like, man, it's so awesome. I love your commitment. Toby's obviously older than you. And I just remember, I know. Yeah, I know. Maybe time goes by faster in my universe, you know? It made me laugh. But yeah, dude, huge surprise. And I'll tell you something else that really kind of surprised me about it in a really cool way, is that George Cottle, who is the stunt coordinator on Tenet, he called me one day and he was like, hey man, this is super top secret. Marvel called me and Marvel asked me about you. And I was like, and I'll preface this by saying, you know, in stunt world especially, and I'm not saying people can't build up clout. I'm not saying people don't see the value of stunt people. I'm not saying people can have great careers and be truly respected. People like Zoe Bell, who like Quentin Tarantino's like, hey, you were the stunt lady for Uma Thurman, and now you're the actress in Grindhouse, right?
Yeah.
Now you're the act, and like jump, like that dream of everyone's dream of jumping to the next. I'm not saying any of that isn't true or possible, but boy, when he was like, yeah, Marvel asked about you, I was like, oh, I'll bet they did. Yeah, I think Marvel was like, hey, what's William up to? How is he? You know, like it felt far-fetched that I sort of made a joke to him on the phone, like, oh yeah, like, I mean, who at Marvel? Like, how many of them said hi? You know, that he was like, he's like, I'm not sure I understand where you're coming from. What do you mean? They asked for you, and then I said I knew you, and that I liked you, and you're my friend. And I was like, oh, that's not funny, is it? You know, like he kind of like totally dissipated it, but I was like flattered, shocked, and like, they don't need to keep track of us, dude. The truth is like, when you're making a movie, do you need stuntmen? Yeah, you need them, but you can also, if you must, like I said, sometimes they have 2 of us, sometimes they have 3 of us. Sometimes somebody breaks their leg and then somebody does the next shot. Sometimes somebody's, you know, working super hard and then you need him on another unit and he's out of there, or he's on a different movie. So we're not we're not interchangeable exactly, but in a lot of ways, they know how to keep their costs down by keeping our pay the same, right? Actors go
Yeah.
up every year or whatever they're thinking. But for us, like maybe on a couple commercials after the second movie, I might have been able to bump my rate up to like double, but just on a commercial for a day or two. But unless you're like truly like in someone's pocket, meaning like, all right, you're Denzel Washington's guy, and he says that you get triple the rate of other stuntmen, sure. But it's a stuntman like working that out for himself. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but in a lot of ways, I think that mostly people keep their costs down and they pay stuntmen the first day you're on set, you're brand new, or you're the most experienced guy there, unless you're a stunt coordinator, your rate's the same, right? That's just the way they play it, and it's all fine. So I was just deeply flattered that they thought of me, remembered who I was, and whether it was Andrew that asked for me or not, which I wouldn't be surprised if he did or didn't, meaning he's really busy, or he was like, no, I told him what. I'm not surprised at either of those things. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
because he's super loyal, if he can, he will make things happen. He will, he will look out for you. He's very sincere. If he's not busy or doing so, he's like on it for you. But I never got that confirmation from Andrew, so I'm just telling you off my assumption of it made me laugh because I was like, oh yeah, well tell them I said hi, like, well, all right. But I also too, it came through a way ahead of time of what I really wanted to, because I've been working on my own sort of like trying to be magnum opus of my skateboarding, of finally feeling like self-confident and comfortable with what I have to give, or what I think my skateboarding, my style, like whatever I was going for, but then didn't want to commit because I thought people are like, oh, you're too weird, or, oh, you want to make up your own kind, you're so great, that I was worried about being the flip guy. And as the years went on and I kind of got away from skateboarding and was into stunt work and doing Spider-Man, that I looked out and said, wow, I think I could have made a bigger impact if I just said, hey, sorry, everybody, but I'm the flip guy. I'm going to add a bunch of flips to skateboarding, and I'm just going to roll with that. And if you don't like it, too bad. I was apologetic. Like, I'm really sorry. Did I ruin skateboarding? I hope not, because I respect it and I love it, But as time went on, I just realized, dude, the world is finally exploding into creativity, and it's okay to make a splash in that pool that's otherwise calm and nothing changes. That I said, hey, you know what? I'm the flip guy now. And so I was making a video part over 4 years, almost 5 now, that was my best of what I thought I was capable of, at my peak of like, hey, I'm not haggard yet. Here it is. That they called me earlier that I wasn't finished with that. And I just knew that if I didn't finish that video part before I went on to No Way Home, I knew I was going to be angsty on set. And you say to yourself, wow, William, that's deeply self-involved and also bratty in a certain way. But I just knew if I can finish what on my heart is my best of, I can go on to this movie, do whatever performance that they think is best, and just feel good about just being there, that people wanted me there, that I got to be there. And so I did finish it. Actually, George was like, dude, I can get you more work than just this. You can come be with us as we build up and, build up all the stunts for No Way Home and where we're practicing, and you'll be there helping. And I was like, dude, I really appreciate it, but I really need to focus on this project that in my heart means a lot. And he's like, okay, well, you clearly missing out on a big paycheck. And I said, dude, no one's going to feel it more than me, but I really need this. I really need it. And so I did. And then when it was time and Andrew was actually there, then I was there. And so that it worked out so that as he was filming, I made sure I had his back. And hey, you want to know how to do this or learn how to do that, or you want me to test this out for you? And we did all the things. So yeah.
So I think we should
Awesome.
do. I think we should do 1 or 2 more questions and work in the fan questions.
Yeah.
Do you want to ask one? Then I think we should end on that one.
Yeah, no worries.
We have a question
Yeah.
that I think is very important and I need to ask, but we're gonna save that one to the last one. We're gonna let
Okay,
Ryan do
great.
this.
Yeah, I mean, just coming back to Spider-Man, what was it like working with Andrew Garfield again? Like, kind of coming back after that long time. Did you kind of have a quick relationship back together, or did it take some time to,
So we didn't have a huge amount of time to film, but we did end up hanging out and actually catching up finally. We're like, all right, dude, let's do lunch. Come over to your place. We'll hang. We'll kind of like just talk about the last, I don't know, 7 years and see what we get.
Yeah.
And so we did. We talked about so much of the past and just like the evolution of things. And I showed him like my new video part that I was super proud of, and he was just telling me about new projects and the evolution of things towards like where he wants to be and what he wants to be doing. And we talked about Hacksaw Ridge, and just how like, you know, it's so cool to be on a path and like have the right people behind you that, you know, if you ever wanted to get an Oscar or like make a performance that was truly like memorable, whatever, like how that comes about and, you know, what he really values. And so through all those conversations, I think we got back to where we usually are, which is sort of a brotherly relationship, you know, like just he's super committed to his part of things, like how to make it the best no matter what anybody says. He's like putting his heart into it, and I'm the same way with what I do. And so I think a lot of our relationship just comes down to like him being like, William, that's like too honest. And I'm like, oops, I'm sorry, you know? And he's like, yeah, man, I got it. Or, you know, I would test stuff for him and he'd be like, ooh, I don't know about that. And then I would test it a couple times and be like, man, you got this, it's cool, you know? And then he would get on the line, do it a couple times. And I'd be like, hey, man, that was really good. And I would start to go back into like, hey, hopefully you feel good. He's like, dude, get out of here. I got this. And I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, the training wheels are off, huh? You know, but he's so funny that way because I don't, you know, I obviously don't blame him, but he just makes me laugh with that stuff because he'll be nervous and then he'll be like, get out of here, Dad. You know, like, you're like, I don't know, you know, you're embarrassing me. I could do this, son, you know. But no, it was fun to be back together. And it wasn't a long amount of time, unfortunately. But you know who was really cool and entirely, and obviously when expectations or you hear something about someone, it's easy to fall into the trap of like, knowing them before you know them. But Toby was one of the nicest, funniest people on there. And I think obviously time has something to do with it, you know, maturity of just kind of like being thankful for where you are, having an opportunity to be Spider-Man, be in this great movie, but not have the pressure of carrying the movie. And I felt like I could feel that from him. You know, he'd be outside his trailer just hanging or whatever, and I'd be chasing the AD lady around trying to find her, and he would be like, hey, man, I think oh God, I don't know where she, you know, I'm like, Toby, like what, you know, and he'd be like, I'm sorry, dude, I could, I'm sure she's that way. And then I come back around and be like, okay, man, I don't know. She's very, you know, but he was one of the funniest and nicest. He was the person I probably like, you know, on set would just be whipping through, just like bored, you know, they don't have any stunts to do today. So I'm just whipping through in my suit and like, Toby, what's up? You okay? What's up? You know, and the most talkative, nicest, you know, and so it was really fun because I actually was obsessed with German accents on that movie. And by the end of it, Toby, Andrew, Tom, everybody, because the wardrobe girls, there was one of them that was super good at it. And so by the end of that movie, everybody was pulling the German accent and like stop, which I thought was really funny. But yeah, I did some funny little blogs on the way to work with it, I think. But yeah, it was fun to be back with Andrew and just cool to like the nostalgia of it all, to be in the exact same suits, you know, and just the poor wardrobe girls are trying to zip those things up and they're like doing stuff, you know, because and they could, you know, they could have made us new suits and they just said, they're like, no, we want the classic ones, we want the exact ones for the look, and we're like, okay. But those wardrobe ladies are just waxing zippers, just praying they work, you know, just like, please. And of course we're like, and I remember I actually met up, it was really cool. I had a fitting before to make sure they still fit. And this really cool, I think she's Vietnamese, but the lady who actually, you know, sews the suit together, I saw her and she looks no different, by the way. I was like, dude, what's it like to just kill people, bite people, drink their blood, and then right? That vampirism? Like, I don't know how you're doing it, but good job, you know? Like, just no different. And she's like, wow, that's crazy you still fit in the suit. That's awesome. It's been 7 years. And I just felt like, am I letting you down in some way? Like, are white people supposed to get super fat and old quick? You know, like, I know you don't do it clearly. But yeah, such an awesome lady. But yeah, that's kind of
okay.
That's awesome.
That just made my day. But to the final question before we get into our fan questions is, so do you have a Twitter?
I do, and I've messed up on it, so I don't touch it much, you guys.
Okay.
I accidentally said that there's a new Spider-Man 3 or something. A new Amazing.
Oh, I liked that post and shared it. I was
totally, yeah, don't get me on the internet. I'll make some mistakes, man.
So you had to have seen the hashtag MakeTasm3.
Totally. I totally did. Yes.
So that goes into my third question. If they were to make it, if that ever happened, which I pray every night that it does,
I love
would
that.
you
Please do.
would you go back to it?
You know what? That's a tough question. I mean, it shouldn't be a tough question. And this might surprise you, but even from the first movie to the second movie of the Amazing Spider-Man, and hopefully this is in no way dream crushing because I think the way things worked out is good. But even between the second one, the first and second, Andrew and I were talking about it before it was happening. And I was like, Andrew, is it awesome? Like, is there still, I hear it's going to be a kind of a CG fest. Is still a lot of practical stuff. Does it make sense for me to do this with you? And he's like, dude, I'm so sorry. I can't say for sure. Just come to my house, read the script, see what you think. And so I was already, for me, and I think maybe people don't always realize this because of, it's just perspective. But for me, I'm so picky about exactly what I want to make. There's a lot of guys that are just happy doing stunts, and you tell them they're very talented, and you go, this week, you're a Viking and you have to do all this cool Viking throwing axes, and next week you're a samurai. And people very much like to kind of sink into that and become that. But I'm more of like a specified, I want to do this exact thing. Like, I want to be like Buster Keaton. I want to make up something that you're like, wow, that was super cool. How does that work? Right? That it's not as much about like going fast or jumping high. It's just so cool that you're not sure what happened. And so even into the second movie, I was like, man, if I have something better to do than this, that I feel like is not better to do, but more fulfilling. Like, hey, I've got some skills that I'm feeling good about developing, that if they're really useful for this movie, I should do it. And if not, I should put them somewhere else, because we all get old quick, man. Everybody's going to be in a wheelchair, and then you can't do the thing anymore. And I said it, do I want to give my best years to like something where in a lot of ways, certain movies, you just sit around for 6 months and you put on an outfit, but you don't really do anything. And so I think I would like, if Andrew and I talked about it and he told me why it was heartfelt, why he felt like the movie was truly going to be meaningful, the meaning that he was going to get out of it, why it's relevant for him to do it, and then goes, William, and I think there's some part in here that makes sense, then I would say, yeah, I will really think about it. I really will. And there's a lot of people that would say, and many people that I work with, like there's many people that will watch this and go, wow, William, you're nuts. You're never going to get rich that way. And also take a job when you have a job, right? But for me, I've just done enough and seen enough and like know how I feel when I accomplish what's on my heart that I feel really good about. And I know when I take a job that I don't really care about and I just kind of for 6 months feel like I'm in a cage and I don't get to do what I truly want to do. And we're all getting older every day. We just are. That's the way it goes. That for me, if Andrew comes to me and says, hey, this is why this is meaningful, this is going to be an incredible sequence, we're going back to the drawing board of this being really practical and amazing, there's a chance for you to do some stuff that'll probably terrify you, but also the audience will absolutely be in love with it. And they'll be like, yeah, I think I want to take that ride with you, But until that point, I won't really know. And until then, I'm going to be making this Spider-Man video part, and I'm going to be making the Thrasher magazine video part. That's like really what I want to be doing. And then tons more comedy acting and stuff. That's just hopefully making the fans happy, because that's another thing that, not that you guys asked, but after No Way Home came out, the whole concept of the being a multiverse and being more than one Spider-Man, I went from being like, man, you're Spider-Man, but we're not supposed to know about you, but we do, and you're skateboard and you're there, but you're not there. That when that movie came out, people, it's a multiverse. Hey, William, yeah, you're Spider-Man. Oh, I am. They're like, no, now you are. It's cool. You can just be him. So I need you to get a suit and start making footage where you're him and it's funny and we enjoy it. And I was like, yeah, cool. Okay, sure. Are the fans into that? Yeah, the fans are into. Okay, done. That I've just sort of segued. And what's cool about it, because no one wants to take anyone's job. I don't want to be Andrew. Andrew doesn't want to be me. Andrew doesn't want to be Toby. Toby doesn't want to be nobody wants to be anybody but themselves. And the fact that this new concept in No Way Home makes it where everybody can be their best selves and also all exist at the same time. Yeah, boys. It's a good thing. Really.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
cool. And it's totally unexpected because without the multiverse of it all, people would be like, yeah, you're kind of Spider-Man. I'm like, yeah, you're okay. You know, now you can be it and people enjoy it. It's incredible, dude. I'm so thankful for that. You know,
I'm Spider-Man now.
Yeah.
I'm just Spider-Man. That's just what I'm gonna go around telling people now.
but dude, that's just it with that movie. It cracked open the psychology behind it's okay for more than one person to be the thing. Where before that, it just wasn't okay for some reason. It's just not. It was just the one. Nobody tried to be that, and now they're like, yeah, whatever, man. Cool, do it.
As much as you saying like, unless it's fulfilling, that's sad to hear. Like, because I want the movie no matter what. But it also makes me happy because I wouldn't want them to just make it just for the money. I want you guys to do it because it's something meaningful and it's something for the fans and for you.
And here's the thing, though, is they're getting much like with this No Way Home movie. They could have made that movie so much more like in-game and like just epic. It's all ending. Instead, they made a really small movie inside a big movie. They made something really meaningful inside a huge package. So I do not at all. I have total faith in them to make the right choices to make it truly meaningful and make it worthy of being the third movie. I just mean with the CG of it all meets the real.
Yeah.
If you need me to be there, I want to be there. But if it's going to be a CG fest and then I'm sitting around for 6 months, then we should give it to someone who's new and it's their first job and they're psyched out of their mind to sit around for 6 months, right? I want someone to have that experience because my first time on the first Amazing Spider-Man movie, every day was the best day of my life. I'm like, I am on a spider. And dude, it took years for people to be like, I'd be like, hey, I doubled Spider-Man. And they're like, no, you didn't. Also, I don't know what you mean. And I'm like, yeah. And you know, and now people really get it. And enough time has gone by that people get it that if it's supposed to be someone new that's really excited about that, you're still going to get the movie, right? It's still going to be awesome. And I'll be as happy as anyone for it if it's meaningful, you know? So.
I don't want it unless you're in it, William.
Hey, you know what? That's what I was baiting. Thank you. I was baiting you this whole time. I will call Sony myself and be like, I'm not watching it. You're going to miss out on one $16 movie ticket. Yeah, in your face. Even that $16. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the end of our actual interview segment. Do you want to hop into some fan questions with us?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, why not?
Okay, so all I'm going to say is once we posted, like, submit some fan questions where we have Spider-Man on, this was the most response I think we've ever gotten.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So, like, we do nice normally, but, like, everyone wants to get a question in with you.
Wow. That's flattering, boy.
So, this is a weird one. I just picked it. You don't have to answer this. What did you ever sustain an injury while doing a stunt on Spider-Man?
I sure did. My first day on Amazing Spider-Man 1, it's supposed to be a funny sequence where he's still in the vigilante costume with the sunglasses and the beanie.
Yeah.
And he's basically supposed to swing over this spiked fence. And as he comes down, he kind of like does an underbar, you know, from the side profile, you go like that and then down and land in front of the fence. And then his hoodie is supposed to catch on top of the spiked fence, right? And I was practicing, but I was doing it on a wire. And it just so happened that the shiv, which is the pulley that the wire goes through up to basically a crane behind, that it was tied so close to me. And whether it was user error, because I was still new to that exact situation at that time, or if it was just set up in a way that it wasn't tested enough to realize, but the wire was too close and was making a loop. And so I ended up, my boss was like, hey man, you keep shooting out and you're too far away from the fence for us to believe that when you land, your hoodie's catching on it. You're going out and then slapping it. I need you to go out and then come right next to the fence like you almost scrape your back on it. I need you to put your chin, like look at your toes when you go through. And when I did, I put the wire over on the other side and I said, okay, cool, I'll do it. Well, as I put my chin down, it looped underneath my chin, right? And it's supposed to be going to a shackle on my back is where I take all the inertia out on my harness that's underneath my clothes. Yeah. And I came down and it tried to freaking strangle me and just flayed all the way 15 stitches and it just flayed over the underside and just like popped it all the way open. And my boss looked at Andy Armstrong. He's like, oh, somebody cover that. Dude, gross. But thankfully it didn't get my jugular, you know, because you're done.
Yeah.
That happens. But yeah, unfortunately. And that was just one of those things that got like, it was a double trouble where if someone more experienced than me had been in that spot, they would have probably been like, hey, move this shiv back a little bit. Or someone who had tried it before, whatever. But whatever it was, the combination of it, it just didn't. Yeah. And then what's cool is I went to the emergency room, was so bummed and sad because it was my first time doing a stunt. They're like, they're going to let you do the stunt. I was like, this is amazing. Yes. And then cut to I'm in the emergency room. And then when I finally get back to set with my stitches in, I'm like, let's do this. They're like, yeah, that's never going to happen today. And I was like, what? And I really thought I blew it, which I was just, it makes sense now where you're like, yeah, it makes no sense that you would try that. Come on, man. No. But in that moment, I really was just wanting to so badly that I ended up coming back when it healed. And then they let me do it anyway, which is really cool, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the injury's not awesome, but that you got to eventually.
But it is cool to have lived through it and have the experience and like not make the mistake again, you know. So
yeah. Well,
yeah.
But that question was from Matt. I meant to shout his name.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Matt.
And the next question we have is, what other character would you like to be a stunt double for, if any? This is a question from Ian.
So, hi Janet. I'm just doing a little interview here. So I would say, you guys, I'm actually in the mid. So there's this awesome German TV show that wanted to do an interview on me about my career and everything. And they just came over maybe, oh boy, the days have just flown by. On the 1st, whatever day that was. And they did an interview and I said, hey, they're like, we want to see you skateboard. We want to see you do stuff as Spider-Man. We want to get an epic shot of you swinging or upside down on some tall structure. Like basically your fantasy of what probably a stuntman's life looks like, even though in reality you're just sitting in traffic on 405 and people kind of, you know, like you're kind of in an alleyway with a fake bat, but it's like nothing's. So I made up this epic shoot, and what I did is I made a new adventure, basically a multiverse version of Back to the Future. And so,
oh, wow.
You know, a Marty McFly character. In fact, Pay's sort of the one. Oh, she just walked by. Hi. This is Pay.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
How are you?
Yeah.
How are you?
Good. I'm going to go pole dance right now.
Yeah.
Pole fitness.
Awesome.
But yeah, she was the one who kind of like started me on the Marty McFly of it all. Cause you know, he's a skateboarder and it's just like that cool, youthful.
That was one of our favorite movies in the 80s.
Yeah. Totally.
Both of our favorite movies. And then when I saw him, I was like, oh my God. And I put together the costume and we got the Madrid skateboard.
Oh yeah. We call, you know, Madrid. I don't know if you know, but like the original skateboard, the company still exists. And we hit them up for the boards.
Yeah.
You know?
And they had
That's
only
awesome.
300 in 2015
for
Back to the Future Day.
Yeah, for Back to the Future Day.
And I contacted him. They're like, we sold out.
Yeah.
But the guy who works at Madrid is one of William's fans and was like, we'll make 2 for you.
Yeah, it was super cool.
That is awesome.
That's awesome.
It's like the original board with the same trucks and all that.
Same everything. Like, it's super cool. But I think that is like, you know, if I could stunt double or, you know, a character that I connect to. Anyway, so it's cool because because it's a multiverse thing, there's this whole thing where Doc calls me. He's like, I can't explain it. I have this other machine. I know you don't look like yourself, but you have the same clothes on. Biff's still after the almanac, and it's this cool kind of action sequence around that. Him getting chased by the truck. And I actually do the Back to the Future for real where he's in front of the truck on the skateboard and then runs over and lands on it.
Yeah.
I did that for real the other day, you know, like no cuts, you know, the whole deal. So yeah, it's cool. That I really connect to Marty McFly because he's kind of humble, but like can get the job done, you know, and I like characters that aren't cocky. So I could see doing something like that. I mean, other heroes it's funny because like I feel like there's only a few classic ones that I don't even know if it's me or it's just like everyone, but like Indiana Jones, of course, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's such a classic. I always wanted to do. Did you guys ever see that movie? And this is in no way like for the sword fighting and what it is. It's super lowbrow. But did you ever see 47 Ronin with Keanu Reeves?
Keanu Reeves, yep.
I could see doing a movie like that where it's kind of an underdog situation, you know?
Yeah.
I think I actually, for the martial arts training, and I've done a decent amount of it, it's one of the only things, like people are so, especially some people are very quick to like want to fight and look cool. And there's something about, I don't know, the skateboard mentality or my family, but the like cocky guy that wins is sort of boring to me, you know? Yeah, I'm more of like an Edward Scissorhands guy. So I'm trying to like write things that are sort of like quirkier than that, where he does win, but it's struggly and it's cool. So I think I'm just connected more to like watching, when Jackie Chan barely makes it and he's fighting a bunch of guys and also stubs his toe. I think I kind of am more in that vein, So that's why playing Spider-Man, thank goodness Spider-Man has like a sense of humor that I think I connect to a little more,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Best Spider-Man's. Got the best humor, and he's the biggest underdog in my opinion of the three guys.
Oh, and he's like relatable. He's like everything is not going right for him,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, this is an ongoing joke between me and Ryan. I've seen the Amazing Spider-Man 200 times at least.
Have you?
I've cried every single time I watch Gwen die.
Dude, that's awesome because that day was stressful, dude. Andrew was going through it that day, man. Yeah,
that scene broke me.
Yeah, he pulled me aside. He's like, dude, I know we usually joke about stuff today, but I can't do it. I gotta be on it. And I was like, all right, cool, man. I'll see ya on the other side.
I just learned a cool fact about the Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's the only Spider-Man movie where the mask doesn't come off in the fight scene. Cool little fact I learned.
Wow, that is cool. I'll tell you another amazing fact. Emma Stone is the best.
Yes, I agree.
Dude.
Yes.
Like the cool, like I would be on press tour with those guys, and normally they don't even take people or whatever else. And I'd be standing to the side like, yeah, cool, I got to dress up like Spider-Man later and say hi to the kids. She's like, William, you get in this photo with us. Get in here right now. Just the cool, like nicest, never, even when she's about to film some like serious scene or whatever else, she'd still be like, dude, you guys. And then the bartender, what's that? And then the bartender says, hang on a sec. Oh, I got to cry. I'll be right back. Goes and cries, comes back, right? She's like, and then the bartender says, yeah, right. It's never going to happen. Oh my, right? And just goes, the best sense of humor, nicest lady. Seriously. So
that's awesome. No.
Yeah. This is the coolest episode of the podcast ever.
Yeah.
This will never be topped. I just want to say that now. This is like my dream.
Well, it's fun to hang out with you guys, man.
It's awesome.
I'm going to have a heart attack. But third question we have from here is, what's the funniest on-set story from Spider-Man you have? And this question is from Sean.
You know what? I mean, geez, you guys. I mean, there's so many funny ones. I think that one of the ones that always gets me is that they had this scene. And I don't know, you remember the part right before where Andrew, he's about to go like fight Electro or whatever, and he webs her to the cab.
Yeah.
You know the scene where before that where he swings in with her though? He like swings in and starts running, and then just kind of it stops there. That dude, we were like, all right, man. Like, I guess, and me and Jen Caputo, who is her stunt double, we were practicing and rehearsing, and I was like, hang on, I'm sorry, this is wire work, right? They're like, yeah, so we're just gonna like swing you in there, and we're gonna swing her in. I'm like, yeah, but every time I'm hitting the ground running out of the swing, I'm basically carrying her, and Jen can actually fall down on the ground because they're having to pay her out to me so that her feet can land on the ground so it looks like she's running it out. They're like, no, we want you to actually swing in and run out. And I was like, okay, but I just want to be clear with everyone that I'm not Spider-Man really, right? I'm not really though, right? Like I've got some decent skills. I feel like I'm pretty strong. And then I was like already pretty worried, and they're like, all right, now that you and Jen have rehearsed, and Jen's like, hey man, thanks for not dropping me. I'm like, yeah, thanks for not falling. Right? That they're like, all right, we're going to put in Emma. And I was like, you're going to put in Emma, like, you know, she's going to, right? And then we're going to, okay. And she's like, I don't know why, but I just remember her being like, whatever, man, you got this. And I was like, Emma, look at me. I am so sorry if I dropped you. She's like, you're not gonna. I was like, okay, but I'm just saying, if it were to happen, I'm really sorry. She's like, no, it's gonna be fine. And I was like, I need you to focus on what, forget it. And then we went and did it. But dude, just so nerve wracking because she's you know what I mean? She's like a strong lady too, but also who practices like carrying someone whilst landing from a swing? It's just not a thing. Turns out anyone does. And so, but she was super cool about it. It was fun.
Yeah.
That is an amazing story,
That's
and I will
hilarious.
never watch this movie the same after this interview.
Dude, I know. I wish I had some. You know what? I would really. The problem is, it was 7 or 8 years ago that there's just some stuff. Another funny thing that happened is so Andy Armstrong on the first movie, Andy's stunt coordinating, and his son James is there assisting him, and we're on top of we need to shoot at New York, but we can't. But do you remember the sequence where he's still the vigilante? He's got the glasses on and the beanie, and he needs to run and jump off the building to do his first big dive swing. And like he really run. We're on a parking garage at Sony on the studio lot, and it's 6 stories. And they have me on a wire on my back, but it's a free fall into a descender, which means you're really jumping off a building, falling for a long time, and then they'll finally catch you, right? But you're actually just in. I remember being like, okay, cool. So I just need to run up and jump. And they were like, no, man, you need to do this action. You need to pull down the mash. You need to turn. And then we want you to sprint. And I thought that they had made a platform to just like sprint off the end of there, jump whenever you want, call it a day. They're like, nah. Andy's like, I need you to sprint as hard as you possibly can. And then the curb on the edge of the building, you have got to touch it with your last step and then jump. And I was like, but like, do you like, I, by the way, I've played this game before, not off a building, big surprise. You want me to have to run as hard as I can? I can't pace the steps because you can't practice jumping off a building until you guessed it, jump off a building, right? You can't run up at full speed and then make your last step and go, oh, I'm good, I'll just stop here. Like, it's not the first time they line that out. And Andy was super nice to me because technically on a descender like that, when they have you tagged in on your back, they don't need to put a pad down there because you're never going to hit the ground. But if anything went wrong, guess what? Now you dive to concrete, right? And he was super cool. He's like, I'll put an airbag down there just for the mentality of you seeing something down there when you jump. And I was like, I thank you so much because I do not. No one wants to think, oh, I wonder if this will snap. You just don't. You really don't. And I remember the first time they were about to film it, and I'm just my heart is just like, I feel like I can see my shirt, my shirt moving from the. But yeah, I totally sprinted that first one. I was like, please don't stutter step. Please don't stutter step. Please don't stutter step. And you know what? They let me jump off it 3 times. And I think they gave me this is crazy. I'm not sure if, actually, I don't even care. Andy gave me $2,500 every time I jumped off of there.
Wow.
Can I jump off this building?
Well, here's the thing though. If it goes weird, you die. So is $2,500 that much? Not when you're dead. I don't even know if that buys a cat, guys. Anyways, not that it isn't safe, but in your head, you're thinking that stuff because obviously Andy and those guys map it out. They know what they're doing. If anything ever happened, it would be failure not on their part, but still. Yeah. And you know what's crazy is by the second jump, I had jumped even further where I would jump. First, I jumped right to the middle of the bag. Second jump, I jumped to the 3/4 of the bag. And by the last one, I almost out jumped the bag because your steps get better but I remember just Andy being like, hey man, really quick. And we're just about to roll. Everything else is said to me. He's like, hey man, what's your parents' phone number? And I was like, what? He's like, what's your contact info? I was like, what did you just say? He's like, I know we're not going to need it, but just in case we need to call your mom if you die.
Oh my God.
You aren't wrong. And then I was like, let me see here. Yeah. Great. It's so funny though that he waited till the last second to be like, hey, first in case you die real quick. I was like, wow, you're the worst.
Well,
that's great.
Ryan, do you want to answer a question? I'll let you do 4 and 5.
Yeah. So next we have, do you have any upcoming projects that you can talk about? This question is from Oscar.
So you guys, I'll tell you, Pei and I just got into the LA Film Festival for a comedy short film we did called Rumble Date.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal. We just went and and viewed that. I've been doing more stuff like that, which is like actual projects of writing, directing, so it's way more fun. I'll probably in the next, unless somebody needs me for a job, which I don't think. I worked on Fear of the Walking Dead. I actually did a little bit of acting on Fear of the Walking Dead, which is cool. I went down there maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was fun. Michael and those guys that run it, the executive producer, and James Armstrong is the one who's like, who's a stunt coordinator, and his younger brother Jack kind of helps him out. They're freaking awesome. But they had me down there. I did that. I did acting, playing some sort of soldier, and it's the apocalypse, so who knows. That show is all over the place. So anyway, I played some sort of soldier. Super cool to give me some lines. It was awesome. And then the second week I was down there, I was a stunt zombie, and we were in this awesome swamp that they built so that there weren't alligators eating us. And so that's pretty current. And then I probably have some stuff coming up, but for me, I got to tell you, and a lot of people aren't like this, but I've just sort of like had a big epiphany because I've had a lot of time to think about things. But anytime I'm not on somebody else's project, and I don't like, there's a lot of people who they'll be on stunt services, right? They're on all these, they're basically the equivalent of like a phone book, but for stunt people. And they go, hey, I need someone 5'9" with brown hair, da-da-da-da-da. Stuntphone.com. Anyway, they'll have it so that you can basically, anyone anywhere that goes, hey, I need a guy 5'9", they can look it up. I don't do a lot of that stuff, so I would probably realistically get hit up a little more by people, but I'm so kind of invested in really wanting to do my own like independent action comedies. Like I really, in my heart, I think that's where I want things to arrive, that I am pushing towards that more than I'm trying to hunt down other people's movies, really, because that's the most satisfying. Because if you're not in movies, you kind of go, being in any movie is great, and it is great when you first get into it, but the more time goes on and the better your taste gets for what you truly enjoy to do, for me it's like a no-brainer. Like I love action comedy, I love SNL skits, that I'm just sort of like slowly honing in on that, so if I'm not trying to make some money working on somebody's movie, or need some skateboarders for the day, then I'm usually like writing and making my own stuff. So,
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's super cool. All right, so this next question is from Olivia, and it is, when is the Amazing Spider-Man 3 coming out?
You know what? You tell her. Her guess is literally as good as mine.
Oh,
isn't that sad? But I've gotten in so much trouble on the internet that I just sort of refuse anymore. Like I got in so much trouble, you guys. Like people playing internet detective, that I won't even approach anything that looks like. I won't even say stuff like, "Yeah, I hope it happens," just in case. I've gotten in so much trouble that I'm like, "Yeah, no, I don't even know." Like, people were going TSMA 3, TS. I'm like, I don't know, man.
I want to apologize because I was part of that chain where you said that there would be a third, and that was on me. I'm sorry.
You know what? Here's the thing. You know what would be the real bummer? If no one was excited about it.
Yeah, now everyone wants it now.
That would be the real bummer, that everyone's like, we don't care about a third movie. Who cares? Like, that would suck. So
it brings me joy that the fans want a third one, and I'm just one of the fans. Because I thought I was kind of like left alone with the whole Andrew Garfield love, the love for you as the character.
Well, dude, don't get me started on that. Because, by the way that No Way Home ended out, the genius behind bringing his story full circle, where so many people were like, dude, I don't know what to think about that. And I think in a lot of ways it was too far ahead of its time. And it was so realistic to the comic books that everyone's like, this isn't a fun summer movie. This is like a guy trying to get an Oscar as Spider-Man.
Yeah, that movie. I love it. I mean,
they committed.
Love that movie.
They fully committed to the story, the type of story they wanted to tell. You cannot be mad at the fact they're like, hey, we're doing the emo. We're doing like, it's going to be sad. It's going to end like the comic book does. And that's what you get, But the fact that they wrote No Way Home in that way to kind of like really close that loop out. Talk about going from last place to first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's noticeable, you guys. And I'm not, thanks. And I'm not mad about it. Oh, this is hilarious. Here's a flyer for that. short film that we just did. It's pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
You posted a bit of it. You posted like the trailer for it on your Instagram, correct?
I did a while back. Yeah.
Yep.
It's
I loved it and I shared it on
Love
my
ya.
Instagram.
Love
the
ya. I
podcast
don't
is
Yeah,
Instagram.
it's hilarious.
I don't care if you're lying. I don't even care. How about
No,
that?
we're telling.
No, it's
we're all
true.
honest here.
No, dude, but I think that stuff makes me happy to make, which is cool. But yeah, dude, you know, it's crazy and you'll never know, but before they did the catch with Zendaya, don't get me started on which that is. That I got in there and did a few catches, and it was funny because me and her stunt double Jade, who is awesome by the way, she didn't even get credited in the movie by accident.
Oh,
But I caught Jade a few times and then ended up catching Zendaya as well. And it's funny because you don't even know who the footage is of, because a lot of times when I test shots for Andrew, that if they feel like it looks good, they'll keep it. And if they don't, then they'll just use his shot. And that's what's funny about certain stunt stuff is who knows who did that catch, you know? That's what's funny.
I love the picture of you guys staying there with the hold.
Dude.
I've seen that picture so many times.
Yeah, Jade, dude, if you guys ever get a chance to, and Jade is so funny. She's such a funny person. Zendaya's stunt double.
Yeah.
She's cool. Super
We're
cool.
taking over all the stunt double. Every stunt double is coming on this show from now on because you guys are amazing.
Yeah, if you want some freaking suggestions of just cool, funny people, yeah, I'll try to get in there for you. Yeah.
That would
Absolutely.
This is
we'll take
amazing.
that.
Yeah, sure.
But we
Oh yeah, what else?
we have two more. Oh yeah, two more. I'm sorry. And you talked about this, so I guess the question's already answered. The question was going to be any upcoming Spider-Man stunts, and this question is from Willa. And you talked about your Spider-Man thing you're working on with the stunts already.
Yeah, and it's what's cool about it is there's some movie magic. So like I said, sometimes like it's Spider-Man time where the skateboard somehow is like connected to his feet, but I do a lot of shots where I actually start landing on the skateboard. I like literally swing into shot, land on it, and then go upside down and it sticks to my feet, you know, just like movie magic stuff, which is, I think that there's a lot of my skateboarding in the past. And when Andrew was like, hey, I think you skateboard like Spider-Man, it took so long for that to resonate because I feel like it was a little uncreative to me just because I'm like always pushing different boundaries of like what I think. But to really embrace that after the fans were like, no, man, now you're Spider-Man, that actually feels good. And I've gone back to redo some old tricks that didn't make as much sense. And as Spider-Man, I think they're perfect for that tone.
Yeah.
So it's cool. I literally went back to Denver to a bunch of the old spots and redid it, but just in a Spider-Man suit. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
I cannot wait to check this out.
Yeah.
This last question, this dude does not follow us. I'm pretty sure he's like one of your biggest fans.
Oh, wow.
'Cause
Oh,
This is directly to you. No correlation to me and Ryan.
hilarious.
And this is from Web Shredder. William, do you ride for any companies and do you have a board sponsor?
So you guys, I'm such an outlier, even with like, and yeah, I think within skateboarding, I'm pretty well known for what I've done, but skateboarding is one of those very core things that still, like anything else, it has a certain tier of like what people consider acceptable amount of creativity, acceptable amount of whatever, that I'm still kind of on the outside of that because I'll just kind of like try whatever. And what's cool is my older brother actually has a company called Lunch Break Skateboards, and he's been super awesome to me and he makes them from scratch, by the way, like takes the wood, actually puts all the layers together, shapes the boards, beautiful, like any shape you want. He's an amazing artist. And he is, to kind of coincide with my, my new video part for Thrasher that'll be out in the next few months, he's actually making me a board coming out with that. So
That's
yes,
awesome.
I have a board sponsor. I've had little sponsors in the past. I do get Vans from or shoes from Vans, but it's like through one of their awesome reps that lives in Colorado. So they don't officially directly give me Vans. When the Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out and it was actually a lady who was super awesome who worked wardrobe on the movie, asked me, like, I was like, hey, these like just weird, like, I don't even know where you got these soles for the suit. They're not very grippy. Like, I don't want to be a bother, but could we try to get some Vans soles on these? Like, they're so grippy. Like, they really are. And she's like, I mean, yeah, if you really want. I actually know someone that works at Vans. And so she got me Vans soles for my stunt Spider-Man suit. And so after I got off that movie, somebody from Vans hit me up and was like, "Hey man, want to meet you for lunch and see what's up. We might want to do a collab or something." And then it just kind of fizzled. It was like at that point, without the extra push of No Way Home, and you're just a stunt double, but you're technically not a pro skateboarder yet. And so it doesn't, like, money-wise doesn't make sense. So I'll be intrigued to see now, with this new video part coming out and where everything is with No Way Home and the Spider-Man stuff, that it may be the time for them to do something like that, which would be cool, So I never hold my breath about stuff like that, because what is good for people, like, in a money sense, isn't always good. Like, what should happen. So I don't really tie to that stuff anymore. I've just, like, I've made too many things I'm really proud of that people later on, like, I mean, I can't tell you the amount of clips that I've put online that I'm like, man, that turns out people hate that clip. That's garbage. And then I'll put it online, 3 years later, and people are like, that's the best thing I've ever seen. It's incredible. Like, it just happened the other day where I'm just like banging my skateboard on the ground and it clears this gap and I land on it in front of this.
Yeah, the skate physics clip. Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's just the greatest thing you've ever seen. And I'm like, okay, everybody, I don't know how to, like, subtract how I feel about stuff from, like, the results. I'm just going to let that go, that stuff would be cool for me, but whatever, I'm just so far into, like, feeling good about what I made. And if you don't like it, who cares? That board sponsors and stuff like that, to me now, I'm, like, kind of over that hump, unfortunately, where people in skateboarding are like, yeah, whatever. And maybe with the new part coming out, but more or less, I'm in my own zone where if I want to make merch and stuff, that would sell much better than if someone else makes it, So
I will 100% buy some merch.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, and I really should get on that here in the next half a year. So
your merch would kill.
Just
first
nothing.
off.
I have nothing to do, you guys. Nothing to do.
That is not true.
You know what I mean? I'm constantly telling myself, "Hey, man, make some merch. It'll be fun. It'll be cool." And I'm always like, "Oh, I'm just about to." So I really will try to get on that though, because it'd be cool, especially when people want stuff. It's different to make people buy stuff that you're like, "Please like my stuff." But when people are really like, "Hey, man, we really want that," then you're like, "I should really make it,"
Yeah,
So,
you should really make it. But that is the end of our fan questions. So
very cool.
I think this is sadly the end of our episode, which is making me quite depressed now because I don't want this episode to end.
Well, dude, yeah, it's been fun to hang out with you guys. It's been awesome.
Yeah,
But
this has been amazing.
Is there anything you want to shout out about your brand or anything, any socials or anything like that?
Yeah, just my Instagram, I William Spencer on Instagram, and also I do have a YouTube channel that I'm slowly, like, putting longer content on. You know how Instagram's always like, "Hey man, if it's not 15 seconds, we're gonna go ahead and," right? Like, who's gonna watch that? So I've been making funny, like, comedy, like, thriller short films, just kind of ridiculous, like, trying to get into that SNL vein on there. So yeah, if you jump on there, I definitely have some. It's just William Spencer YouTube channel, but yeah, I'm hopefully going to start a show soon where all the stunt professionals that no one ever heard of, I'm going to do super funny challenges in the pool, but basically I'm going to say, "Hey, who was your favorite hero that got you to want to, like, inspired you to be a stunt person? If it's Indiana Jones or if it's a superhero, I'm going to put them in that outfit and do, like, a wipeout challenge with them,
That
sounds
awesome.
I will
that
100%
look. Yeah, look out for that. I'm going to try and make that happen in the next year here. Just, like, kind of bring some of the clout of people going, "Yeah, what's next for you?" and kind of make it about the people who don't get the credit usually. So
Yeah,
be cool.
Well, this has been the coolest interview of my life.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
And oh yeah, this is actually the first podcast episode that's going up on our YouTube channel, video form. So this is the first time anyone's seen us.
Yeah.
No one knows what we look like until right now.
Yeah, well, congratulations. That's awesome. I like your setup. The freaking mics are super professional. Even, like, how the posters are lined up. It's a good feeling. Yeah.
Oh,
Awesome.
that was.
Thank you.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
You are welcomed on the show whenever, anytime. If you ever want to come back on the show and promote anything of yours, we will cancel anyone else to come on.
Yeah, thank you guys, because I will try to, coming up, if I have something cool that I feel like is interesting enough to talk about, I'll totally hit you up about it. for sure.
That is awesome, man.
Amazing. Yeah, awesome.
So everyone, this is William Spencer. He is Spider-Man. He is the skate ninja. He is one of the coolest people we have ever met and gotten to talk to. It's been an absolute honor. Ryan, you always get the last words on our episodes, or anything you want to say before we get going?
No, this has been
No
super
pressure.
fun.
Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah, I mean, this has been super
Pressure.
fun. I mean, I think we got really good insight into kind of the movie business and the stunt side of it, which is kind of overlooked. So this has been an amazing podcast, and absolutely go check out everything that he's on. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
So thank you guys, and we will see you guys all next week.
see ya.
All right, everybody.